As noted by Elena Rysov, who wrote a topic overview on telephones for the Gale Encyclopedia of Science in 2021, the invention of the telephone can be generally attributed to Alexander Graham Bell's studies in 1875. In 1877, Bell founded his own phone company, allowing those registered with the Bell Telephone Company to speak and communicate with each other at any time, so long as they had the equipment and could bear the manual switch delays that came. The telephone was born, but it kept evolving through the years. The creation of the first desk-mounted phone, the first four-way into portability away from the walls, was by AT&T in 1897. Then it was the invention of the French phone in 1904 that combined the receiver and transmitter into that distinct C shape. Next was the first ever transatlantic call that happened in 1927 from New York City to London. The 1940s saw microwaves transmitting frequencies across long distances, 1950s the laying of transatlantic phone cables, and the 1960s then invented electronic switching and the first communication satellite to further propagate signals. The 1980s had the invention of fiber optic cables to carry an unthinkable number of calls all at once between microwave and satellite transmissions. While all this was happening, the smartphone as we knew it was developing as infrastructure for phone communications improved. The initial strides were in portability, packing all systems of a regular telephone into a small package. Motorola made the Dynatag 8000X in 1984, the first practical mobile phone. This was followed by the Simon Personal Communicator by IBM in 1992. Then, the 2000's JSH04 was the first phone to have a camera built in, followed by mobile phones getting internet connectivity in 2001. The latter is important, as now mobile phones can communicate beyond talk, and go into other forms of communication on the World Wide Web. Lastly, the invention of the iPhone in 2007 by the Apple Corporation created the modern smartphone we see today in terms of design.
With all of these developments, people may question if there's any easy way to define how smartphones are used nowadays. The answer lies in the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History exhibit known as Cell Phones Unseen Connections. This exhibit explains how cell phones are used. The exhibit also explores the use of materials like lithium, copper, silicone, and aluminum in making parts like microchips or the screen for a modern smartphone. Elaborating on the use in particular, the exhibit depicts things such as money sending application accessible on phone, to even using a phone case as a self-expression or as a centerpiece in artistic works. To add on potential uses, this comic in the exhibit by Joanne Starr and Kari Randolph depicts on how phones can be used to transmit messages like disinformation, but also enables minorities to share critical information about events. Now back to our slideshow. While this is all fascinating, there's one aspect Cell Phones Unseen Connections exhibit fails to mention. This is on how phones have been used in harmful ways through digitalized harassment on social media platforms, known as cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is a digitalized version of the concept of bullying. According to Britannica Encyclopedia, bullying is defined by intentional harm doing or harassment that is directly towards vulnerable targets and typically repeated. While the fault may not entirely be on the phones can propagate hateful messages, quicker actions, and more efficiently due to the readily provided access. It is very important to acknowledge the issue of cyberbullying in today's society and find ways to prevent this conflict.
In fact, there are ways cell phone misuses can be prevented on the personal and at the level of social media conglomerates. Elizabeth Jenkins, an IT service worker for Miami University, suggested a few ways a person can counter cyberbullying, such as blocking and reporting the users, taking photos, screenshots of the harassment to report to the company directly, and if the problem persists and transfers into real-life altercation, take the issue to the authorities and report it. This method, while useful, should be taught and educated to the victim of cyberbullying, as well as through social program in school. The reason why it should be taught in school is because 95% of teens in the United States own a phone, and 45% of them are using the internet frequently. They're the most affected by cyberbullying. This is highlighted by Pew Research Center writers Monica Anderson and Jingjing Zhang. Moderation is the key to stopping cyberbullying at the root, but perhaps in order to counter the hate, modern tactics need to be employed. Hebe Salius and Martin Gregory go over this in exploring NLP-based solution to social media moderation challenges. They suggest that automated algorithm and artificial intelligence could help moderate social media. However, the tech is not perfect because even though they could flag possible violation, judging accurately whether it is not one or not a violation is still lacking. The algorithm being able to detect pattern but not being able to understand the context behind the message is equally important. Therefore, social media conglomerate should have a dual system where an algorithm could flag and select instances whether it could be considered harassment, followed by human judgment, and could work in curbing cyberbullying.
The history and development of the modern smartphone, while beneficial, has led to problems in regards to its ability to transmit messages anywhere and at any time. For all of the banal, negative and harmful messages can be transmitted and received between people against their will. The issue of bullying, let alone cyberbullying, is incredibly multifaceted and made up of several moving parts. While phones are not responsible in of itself for inventing the concept of cyberbullying, it has more or less proliferated and caused the problem to mutate into the uncontrollable form of cyberbullying. Most of the burden then lies on those in control of social media to create monitors to prevent or limit such events from happening. The rest is able to be done easily by phone, but it should be a given for major social media entities to care about the people who get affected by harassment. Proper cell phone usage should be taught to prevent the manipulation of it by third parties, with a dual emphasis on also providing resources and methods such as social media platforms to properly moderate those who escape through the folds. Thus, when it comes to cell phones, they play a role in our lives that is seemingly inescapable. Therefore, problems like cyberbullying deserve to be educated to the masses, so as to lessen the severity of such problems in its entirety.